Okay, so what have we got today?
Today we've got a new arrival at my house. It's a book from Paul Cocksedge, and he's a designer that I've been following on Instagram. And a lot of his ideas are very simple, but very chic and very cutting edge, very modern, but very simple. But the way in which he works, it will cost him a lot of money to actually bring the idea to fruition from the concept that he imagines in his mind.
So what kind of design work does he do? What sort of things does he work with?
He works with all sorts. For example, he had a big cube of sponge. Then he sat on the sponge, and his body made a curve. So they pictured that, but then they swapped the sponge for stone.
Okay.
And they carved the shape that his body had made naturally sitting out of stone. So he'd swapped the sponginess for actually a hard surface.
It sounds like like a proper artist installation.
Yeah, I mean, the ideas that he has would cost a fortune to actually bring to fruition. Recent idea that you can see on Instagram is in Dior. There's an office in France where they've literally, looks like they've thrown paper out of an office. So there's all these sheets of paper that are just in the sky.
Is that a photo or they've actually done it?
Well, what it is, it looks like that's happened and it's a snapshot.
Yeah.
But what he's actually done, he's actually got thick paper film that lights up at night, and he's got actual paper and curved it what it would look like when it's thrown, so that all these things are hanging and at night they light up and like they're illuminated, but it just looks like someone's thrown paper.
So is that still there, or was it just for the photo, or is it like still?
No, it's a work of art. It's still there. Cool. So he's done that at Dior. I think they commissioned it, but then other people have liked it.
Yeah.
So these things that he's made, like these pieces of paper that are thicker than paper, but they light up at night.
Yeah.
And they're hung by very fine strands, but they're done in a way that it looks like he's just thrown it.
So I already like get the idea that he does stuff that most people will go, we can't do that. He was like, we can do that.
That's exactly why I like it, because it's almost like he's got to come up with an idea, and then somebody has got to say, that's a great idea, but we can't do that. It's going to cost a fortune. And then he must say, yeah, that's exactly why we're going to do it
anyway.
And it's almost like the audacity to do that. So most of his ideas fall into that must have cost a fortune.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of thinking, and also there's a lot of science behind it. So the point that I got the book is because I used to think people who journaled were a bit nerdy, and it's like, how can you be so boring as to just write things down? But the way in which he's done this, it's almost like all the notes that he's taken and the drawings and the little photographs, he's just graphically designed and put in a book. Now, if you look at his Instagram, a lot of the things that are in the book will be on his Instagram. The difference between the book and Instagram would be there's a lot of video, and there's maybe more photos and images and words, but this is just like a capture of all that. So I just like this as a concept. So for me, I get lots of ideas. They come in my mind and they go out. I get a lot of ideas where I think, yeah, that's a good idea, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
And definitely some of his ideas I just couldn't do.
So this is like a behind the scenes for a lot of his artworks.
These are all his notes.
Creations.
These are all his notes. So that's just some graphic of some of how he makes notes. Some little letters. What I do like is he's put on like tracing paper.
Yeah.
This is a conversation.
Yeah.
And it's written down with 2 speakers or 3 speakers. So this could be like a text or some interaction with somebody, and he's put it down like this because it's different. So it's just a really nice way of presenting how he thinks and what goes on in his head. Now, the reason why I'm sort of banging on about this is because a lot of people that I meet, and me included, time goes by pretty fast. But if we were to just have a reference, and it doesn't have to be organised neatly, this could be like a little file or something you keep under your bed or at the side of the bed or in a drawer, that when you collate it and just look, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. So that's cool. The only reason why I wanted to document this, and also give a big shout out to Paul Cocksedge. Anybody who's watching, just check his Instagram out, because I think there's a lot more that you can learn other than what he's doing. Well,
like the inspiration you might get of it from just go and do it. You can create these big things.
Everything that he does, I sort of guarantee if he's watching this, he'll probably say, that's not right. But there will be somebody who says, you can't do that. And he must have like some kind of mild Tourette's where he says, we've got to do that. We just got to do that.
The other thing I quite like, you're saying make a journal. What's coming to mind is like when I've been on holiday abroad, like went to Japan and got tickets for like a concert, a gig, and all, like loads of little things you take back. You could stick that in,
just everything. It's even if you go out for a walk.
Stick that in the journal.
Currently reading Arnold Schwarzenegger's book, Be Useful, and he says when people go out for a walk, there's a lot of creativity that happens, and there's a lot of studies. So when you go out for a walk, we've got like technology now where you could just talk to yourself and document that, and then if you review that, so this is a book that's like tangible, but the way that we operate as humans now, there's so many ways you can record and capture your thoughts that when you review them in a week, in a month, in a year, it's going to like trigger something off that's dormant.
My life story is on my phone, with the photos. Whether that's a screenshot or stuff I've eaten or just photos of people, it does that. But I like the idea of making it physical, with some stuff like that.
That's what this world is missing. That's why I like books, because books are tangible. You can feel them. Whereas years ago, if you had photographs, you'd have to physically wait a week or pay to get them done or developed if they're on film, which is now coming back spookily. Whereas now a lot of people, I've probably got like 25, 30,000 photographs that I don't look at, but they're there. But if they were printed out, it'd be a little bit more powerful. So the reason why I like this is because it brings it into your awareness, and it's a little bit more real and tangible. And it's easy. It's easy to do. And I think he's like a pretty natural guy, but he must have a pattern where he's like, I'm going to do that, and people are going to say you can't do that. So I don't know what it's like. Anybody who's in a relationship or a friend of his who's with him, but
just don't say no to him.
It's like
because he'll do it.
He's pretty cool. And I just love the way it's presented, because a lot of people it's almost like when you present something, it's like you want to get it right. Now this for me is right because it's wrong in a lot of people's eyes. It's just really, I think it's really good. And a lot of people that are perfectionists, which we all are in certain areas of our life, this is a little bit of a message that, sometimes things are good enough as they are, and a collection of them makes something pretty cool.
Nice.